What's happening around the world
and what's happening here at home. Good evening and welcome to Primetime News right here on TV1. It's the 22nd of February 2024. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Theruni Karunaratna.
And I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Confusion surrounds electricity tariff reduction as Minister stands with 18% and CEB calls for 3.4%. President's powers to increase with proposed anti-terror law, warn activists. Presidential election cannot be delayed and Election Commission will be empowered on July 17th, says Dallas. Chinese research ship docks in the Maldives after Sri Lanka denies permission. 100-member Indian delegation to Sri Lanka to visit sites linked to the Ramayana. Will Wanidu Hasaranga face a penalty for criticizing the umpire?
Now on to your top story this evening. Confusion surrounds the fate of electricity tariffs in Sri Lanka following conflicting statements from the government and the Ceylon Electricity Board. Now on Wednesday, the minister in charge of power and energy announced that electricity tariffs would be reduced by the same percentage as the last increase.
However, the CEB has presented a contrasting proposal advocating for a significantly smaller reduction of just 3.5%. This discrepancy has sparked concerns and questions regarding the actual implementation of the promised tariff cut. Action TV has the details.
It is common knowledge that the price of any good or service can be determined after adding the profit to the confirmed capital based on data. This is not rocket science or magic. However, according to the Ceylon Electricity Board, preparing the electricity tariff is a daunting task.
The Deputy General Manager, who is a product of the Ruhuna University, will make data analysis presentation.
අපේ ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම පිළිබඳ දත්ත විශ්ලේෂණය කරනවා ඇති.
අපේ වියදම රුපියල් බිලියන් 686යි.
Our expenditure is 686 billion rupees. Our revenue is forecast at 710 billion rupees. The unit-based revenue is 48 rupees and 62 cents. There is a surplus of 1 rupees and 62 cents per unit, and in billions it is 23.73 billion rupees. We will award it to the public as a 3.34% tariff reduction.
අපි මහජනතාවට ලබා දෙනවා 3.34ක විදුලි බිල් අඩුවීමක් ලෙස.
The CEB officer, who is also highly recommended by the acting general manager, faces one major challenge, and that is the Minister of Power and Energy.
මේ රටේ ජනතාවට ගෘහස්ත කාණ්ඩ සහ
In October, domestic households and places of worship witnessed a tariff increase of 18%. With effect from Thursday, we will take measures to completely remove the October tariff hike.
වැඩි කරපු මිල අපි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම අයින් කරන්න අපි කටයුතු කරනවා.
The statement by the Minister of Power and Energy completely disregards the electricity tariff revision proposal that was put forward by the CEB and that was prepared by the CEB's talented Deputy General Manager. The CEB proposal in January 2024 called for an average tariff revision of 3.34%. Since the last tariff revision, the CEB has been producing conflicting statements and proposals on the matter within a period of 47 days. First, the CEB said that it would incur a loss of 54 billion by the end of 2023. Later, the CEB revised the figure to 33 billion. And at the public consultation session held on the 18th of October 2023, again revised the loss to 18 billion rupees. Thereafter, the CEB obtained approval to increase the electricity tariff by 18%. The members of the Public Utilities Commission granting approval for the tariff hike less than 24 hours since the public consultation session clearly shows that they too are, quote-unquote, experts. Eventually, the CEB did not incur any loss, but made a mammoth profit of 58 billion rupees. That, however, is an unjust profit that is against the Electricity Act of the country. One does not need to be astonished by the statement made by the Minister of Power and Energy to reduce tariffs by the same percentage it was increased. That is because it is yet another deception. When one peruses the staff-level proposal produced by the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka ahead of the public consultation session, it is clear that the electricity tariff can be reduced by at least 33%. In addition, it is not possible to prevent the tariff hike proposal from being taken to court, given the fact that the PUCSL staff-level proposals to completely do away with a massive excessive amount in the CEB generation cost estimate have been disregarded in the tariff revision process. Multiple petitions filed against the previous tariff revisions are pending in Sri Lankan courts. It is also the responsibility of the Sri Lankan Parliament to at least obtain IMF approval and delve into the two recent tariff hikes and investigate the impact it had on the people's lives and on the national economy.
Attorney at law Nuwan Bopage raised concerns about expanded presidential powers under the proposed anti-terrorism bill during his participation in today's Pathikata program. He specifically highlighted the draft's provision granting the president authority to prescribe organizations and political parties.
Following its review of petitions challenging the anti-terrorism bill currently before Parliament, the Supreme Court determined that certain clauses require a two-thirds majority for passage, while an additional clause necessitates a public referendum alongside the two-thirds majority threshold. However, Attorney at Law Nuwan Bopage expressed concern that the passage of the draft anti-terrorism bill would result in an expansion of presidential powers.
This includes several clauses which gives powers to limit people's freedom to the Inspector General of Police, Attorney General, President and Defence Secretary. An order was issued several months ago restricting entry to the Golf's green premises. It was issued under the Official Secrets Act. When it was challenged, concerns arose regarding whether such a ban could be imposed, and it became a crisis. The convener of the Inter-University Students' Federation was detained for several days. Although attempts were made to ban such organizations, they were not successful. The day prior to the Aragalia, the IGP imposed a curfew and public views were expressed stating that it was illegal. Now, to fix what could not be done, the President has the power to impose curfew under Section 81. Section 79 gives the President direct powers to ban parties and organizations. Section 82 includes prohibited places, which gives the President powers to prohibit entry to certain places. Accordingly, this Act has given the President powers to issue repressive orders, which didn't have legal provisions in the past.
When's the election? When is the election? Different political parties are expressing their views to this question. Now today at a press conference, Dallas Alhab Peruma of the Freedom People's Congress said that the presidential election must be held between the 18th of September and the 18th of October.
The presidential election must be held between the 18th of September and the 18th of October. When will the Election Commission issue the announcement of the election? The nearest date for the election is the 18th of September. Given the fact that the date of the announcement, nominations and so on altogether when the 63 days are taken back after the 18th of September, we reach the 17th of July. The Election Commission gets the power to issue the announcement about the presidential election on that day. The President and the Parliament have no right to do it. Therefore, we are telling the people of the country not to get fooled by the fake news created by the government. The President postponed the local government elections, saying that there were no provisions for it. But they cannot do it for the presidential election.
When's
the election?
The SLPP says a decision on the upcoming election will be made upon Basil Rajapaksa's return to the country.
If there is a general election, the SLPP will win it. And if there is a presidential election, the SLPP will win that too. Basil Rajapaksa is currently on a tour overseas. He will return to the country soon. Upon his return, the necessary correct decisions will be made. I do not believe there is any political leader or organizer who can match the active and organizing nature of Basil Rajapaksa.
When's the election?
Former MP Mujibur Rahman expressed his views on the formation of new alliances, crossovers and the presidential election.
We believe that our candidate had 5.5 million votes the last time. It was our party that gained the most votes and a percentage of votes as an opposition the last time as well. Therefore, we believe we are developing this alliance in order to make Sajith Premadasa win the upcoming election.
එතුමාට මම දන්න විදියට නම් පක්ෂයෙන් කිසිදු ආකාරයේ අරියාදු ආකා කිසිදු ආකාරයේ වෙනසක් එතුමාට කරලා නැහැ මම දන්න විදියට. ආමල් රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයාගේ සරත් පොන්සකට මේ සරුන්දර ඇරලා කියලා පොහොට්ටුවේ. මම නම් හිතන්නේ නැහැ රාජපක්ෂලා ගැන ඒ තරම් තද විවේචනයක් කරපුවා රාජපක්ෂලාට එරෙහිව නැගී හිටපු සරත් පොන්සක මහත්තයා කොහමද ඒ සලුන්දරෙන් ඇතුළට යන්නේ කියලා නම් මම නම් හිතන්නේ නැහැ. මගේ දයරත්නාගේ මහත්තයා මහා මැතිවරණයට ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවා. නෑ එහෙම තීන්දුව නැහැ. ඉදිරිපත් වුණොත් මහමැතිවරණය ආවොත් අපි ඒක බලමු අපි හොඳම අපේක්ෂකව ඉදිරිපත් කරමු. ඡන්ද ජයසුමන නැද්ද? නෑ ඡන්ද ජයසුමන නෑ. ඩිලාන් පෙරේරා මැතිතුමා නම් අපි ඒක සාකච්ඡා කරමු පවතිනවා. ඒතකොට ජීඑල් පීරිස් මැතිතුමාත් සාකච්ඡාව පවතිනවා. පාට්ලි චම්පිකරණමත් සාකච්ඡා කරන් යන්නේ අපි.
When's the election? Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, chairman of the Samagi Jana Balawegya, spoke to the media again today.
The SJB was built after spending a lot of time, effort and money. It does not belong to one person or group. Over 110,000 people voted for me at the decisive time. I cannot let them down. I will remain in my position and work towards the aspirations of the people.
මේ ඉන්න ස්ථානයේ ඉඳගෙන මම උත්සාහ කරනවා ජනතාවගේ සිතුම් පැතුම් ඉෂ්ට කරන්න.
සපෝට් වෙනවා මම රාජපක්ෂ කියන ඔබතුමාව ආදරෙන් පිළිගන්නවා කියලා.
කොහෙද දන්නේ පිළිගන්නේ වැලිකඩ දොරගාවක් දන්නේ නැහැ.
When's the election? The Samagi Ranavira Balawegya convened a media briefing.
මේ යුද්ධය සම්බන්ධ සම්පූර්ණ නිමා කරේ.
It was Sarath Fonseca who brought a complete end to the war. At that time, people made allegations against him for entering politics. Mudslinging took place recently as well. As war heroes, we cannot remain idle. He is a person who stands against corruption. And it was the same when he was in the army. He was untainted when he entered politics, and he despises working with corrupt politicians. That is why he formed this party with Sajith Premadasa, the party leader, and reached a position.
නායක සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්මයාත් එක්ක මේ පක්ෂය හදාගෙන යම්කිසි ස්ථාවරයකට ආවා.
Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized the restructuring of vocational education to align with the demands of the modern world, ensuring that the youth of the country are equipped to excel in the competitive global job market.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe engaged in an observation tour at the Ratmalana Lalit Atulat Mudali Vocational Training Centre this morning, where he engaged in discussions with students. During his visit, the president toured the classrooms, engaging with students to inquire about their education and well-being. He also participated in a brief discussion with the students, addressing their queries.
Our target was the youth from the 80s, but times have changed and I informed the chairman to make those changes accordingly. We will be completely restructuring vocational education and will bring all centers under one authority. Our focus will be on AI. We do not know what would remain in another decade because it is rapidly evolving. We need to move forward. India has done, but we are yet to do it.
News First with the people.
The Kutch Magistrates Court today convicted an Indian fisherman of illegally entering the sea of Sri Lanka using GPS equipment and sentenced him to 6 months in prison. Now, this brings the total number of Indian fishermen imprisoned for similar offences in the past week to 4.
On the 8th of February, the Sri Lankan Navy apprehended 19 Indian fishermen and 2 boats off the Delft coast. They were produced to Kutch Magistrate Gajanidhi Balan for a hearing. Charge sheets were filed against all individuals and the magistrate ordered the confiscation of 1 vessel due to the owner's presence during the offence. The Kutch magistrate sentenced the skipper of the other vessel to 6 months imprisonment for illegally entering Sri Lankan waters using GPS. The remaining crew received suspended sentences of 18 months, resulting in their release. On the 16th of February, the Kites magistrate sentenced 2 Indian fishermen caught using GPS to navigate fishing vessels within the Sea of Sri Lanka to 6 months in prison. Additionally, a fisherman apprehended for a second border violation received a 1-year prison sentence. In response to these arrests and imprisonments, fishermen in Rameswaram, Tamil Nadu launched a strike and it entered its 6th day today. They have declared their intention to boycott the Kachathiyu festival, scheduled to begin tomorrow as a further protest measure.
A 100-member delegation led by Swami Jagat Sakshidas of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in Thiruvananthapuram arrived in Sri Lanka.
A 100-member delegation led by Swami Jagat Sakshidas of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness landed at the Katunayake airport to visit sites in Sri Lanka linked to the Ramayana.
We came
from Kerala, India, along with a delegation of 100 devotees to visit the places related to the Ramayana. Sri Lanka is very important and it cannot be separated. We came to see the places which is written in the history of Ramayana about the arrival of Prince Rama and Sita Devi staying in Sri Lanka for 4 months.
In conjunction with the World Peace Conference, Swami Kailashanand Giriji and others are also on a visit to Sri Lanka. The group visited many places related to the Ramayana.
Following the denial of its entry into Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone, the Chinese research vessel Xianyang Hong 3 reached the Maldives today. Now, prior to its arrival, the vessel reportedly conducted research activities in the waters adjacent to the Sri Lankan exclusive economic zone.
As of 3:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time on Thursday, the Chinese research vessel Xianyang Hong 3 was anchored in the Maldivian territorial waters near the capital, Malé. The vessel had previously been in Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone for approximately 1 month before departing yesterday. The vessel entered Maldivian waters early this morning. The arrival of the Xianyang Hong 3 has added a new dimension to the ongoing diplomatic tensions between India and China regarding Sri Lanka. India has expressed concerns about the repeated presence of Chinese research vessels in Sri Lankan waters, alleging potential security threats and dual-purpose data collection for both civilian and military activities, including submarine navigation. In response to these concerns, the Sri Lankan government imposed a 1-year ban on all research vessels conducting activities within its territorial waters. However, the Chinese government had previously requested permission for the Xianyang Hong 3 to conduct inspections in Sri Lankan waters before the ban was implemented. This request coincided with the preparation of the vessel for its voyage to the Indian Ocean. With the ban in place, the Xianyang Hong 3, which had departed the Chinese port of Sanya on the 16th of January, diverted to the Maldives instead of Sri Lanka. While initially announcing an arrival date of February 8th in the Maldives, the vessel reportedly engaged in research or survey activities near the Sri Lankan maritime border. The exclusive economic zone of Sri Lanka extends 200 nautical miles from its southern coast. The Xianyang Hong 3 reportedly operated outside this zone during its activities near Sri Lanka. Indian media sources have interpreted the Sri Lankan ban and the arrival of an Indian submarine in Colombo as a victory for India. Chinese media, on the other hand, have characterized Indian pressure on Sri Lanka as a shameful act. The Maldivian government has clarified that the Xianyang Hong 3 is not conducting research activities within their territorial waters and is solely present for logistical purposes.
Imbued with the spirit of Sri Lanka's ancient river civilization, the Jala Jana rally embarked on a momentous journey from Anuradhapura and will head to the revered Devi Nuvara Puja site in the southern province tomorrow.
Jala Jana Rally. අහසින් වැටෙන වැහි බිඳුවක් වක් නිකරුණේ සයුරට නොයේ.
Sri Lanka is a nation built on the foundation of a vibrant and sophisticated hydraulic civilization that lasted millennia. In order to protect this heritage and preserve it for the future, the Jala Jana Valley started a journey in Anuradhapura, the birthplace of Sri Lanka's hydraulic civilization. Over the past weeks, the Jala Jana Valley moved across many rural and urban areas, collecting precious water from valleys, rivers and the sea of Sri Lanka. This natural causeway, known as Adam's Bridge, is a world-famous sight. The journey led us to the second shoal of Adam's Bridge, where water was collected from the sea of Sri Lanka. The difficult journey to this remote location concluded with the people of the area joining in the historic moment. Celebrating Sri Lanka's heritage of water is a celebration of her sovereignty and our resourcefulness. The Jala Jana Valley will now make its way to Sri Lanka's southernmost point, Dondra Head, tomorrow.
Jala Jana Rally.
The People's Struggle Movement expressed concerns regarding the potential impact of the proposed economic and technical cooperation agreement with India on Sri Lankan employment opportunities. Now, they highlighted the potential risks associated with this agreement, such as increased competition for jobs from Indian workers.
The government recently announced that ETCA will be inked in March. However, no documentation has been produced. Therefore, following the March signing, it would become an agreement to exchange labour between the two countries. What will Sri Lankan labourers receive from this agreement? If a person in Sri Lanka charges 1,000 rupees for a task, it would become possible to bring down an Indian for the same task for 800 rupees. We will face an issue with regard to the Indian labour market. This agreement is being moved at a time when the estate communities have also not received any value for their efforts. This will open the local market to Indian labour. If India is to be given the energy rights, fuel supply and farms, does this not pose the risk of making the country a part of India? What right does Ranil Wickremesinghe have to go beyond the people's mandate and ink this agreement? What right does the cabinet have to approve this?
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa expressed his views on the proposed solar power project in Ridhigama Reservoir.
Prawn farming is very popular in this area. It generates a total revenue of 363 million rupees. Residents of the surrounding areas have been heavily inconvenienced by this solar project being implemented around the Ridhigama Reservoir. Please conduct a feasibility study and carry out this project in a way the residents are not inconvenienced. I am not making any proposal against this project. There are about 3,500 people from 700 to 800 families depending on this reservoir. I only requested that a feasibility study be carried out so that the livelihoods of these people are not disrupted.
According to official government data, Sri Lanka's inflation has increased in the month of January.
Inflation in Sri Lanka climbed to 6.5% in January 2024. This represents a significant jump from December 2023's 4.2%, according to data released by the Department of Census and Statistics. The Department of Census and Statistics reported that food inflation reached 4.1% in January, compared to 1.6% the previous month.
The 10th National Scout Jamboree is being held at the Koneswara Hindu Vidyalaya Stadium in Trincomalee.
The 10th National Scout Jamboree is guided by the theme Leadership for Change. Scouts from across the island pitched camp, heralding the start of the Scout Jamboree yesterday.
I've come to Sri Lanka as the guest of the Sri Lankan Scout organisation, and I am honoured to be here. It's a beautiful country and I have had an incredible time. And whilst I'm here, today is Founders Day. It's the anniversary of the birth date of both my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather.
The National Scout Jamboree features thousands of scouts from Sri Lanka and 20 countries worldwide.
Sri Lanka edged out Afghanistan in a thrilling T20 series despite a nail-biting 3-run defeat in the final match on Wednesday. Now, after securing victories in the first 2 encounters, the hosts fell short in a tense chase, but their earlier wins were enough to secure the series 2-1.
The Rangiri Dambul International Cricket Stadium hosted the thrilling third T20 between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. Breaking from his previous coin toss decisions, the Afghan skipper opted to bat first this time around, putting the Sri Lankans in the field. Afghanistan posted a competitive total of 209 runs on the board, losing just 5 wickets in their 20 overs. Ramanullah Gurbaz top-scored for the visitors with a blazing 70 runs. Chasing the target, the Sri Lankan batsmen put up a valiant fight, but fell short by 3 runs, managing only 206 in their allotted overs. Pathum Nissanka with 60 and Kamidu Mendis with 65 were the key contributors with the bat for the hosts. A contentious moment arose during the 19th over when Kamidu Mendis, facing Wafadar Moman's delivery, appealed for a leg before wicket call. Kamidu Mendis claimed the delivery a no-ball, but the umpire's decision did not favour the Sri Lankan. Images showed the delivery was clearly above the shoulder of Kamidu Mendis. The Sri Lankan skipper commented on the incident during the post-match media briefing.
This is not something acceptable in an international game. If it was a close call, then there is no issue. However, it was high, and if it went even higher, it would have come into contact with the batsman's head. If such a delivery cannot be called, the umpire is not suitable for international games. It's wise if he opted for another profession.
According to sources, match officials have lodged a complaint against Sri Lankan cricketer Hasaranga regarding his conduct, and potential consequences including a match fee deduction and suspension for several matches are under consideration. An official announcement regarding any action is expected soon. Despite this development, Hasaranga has enjoyed a successful tournament on an individual level. His impressive performances throughout the series against Afghanistan have propelled him to the 2nd position in the T20 all-rounder rankings, a remarkable jump of 7 places. Additionally, he has also climbed to the 2nd spot in the T20 bowler rankings. In a historical feat, Wanidhu Hasaranga becomes the 2nd Sri Lankan bowler to achieve the 100-wicket milestone in T20 cricket during the Afghanistan series.
Crescent International College held its annual sports meet in Colombo yesterday.
Crescent International College hosted its annual sports meet at the Sukatadasa Stadium, attracting a large crowd and dignitaries. The event was graced by the presence of Member of Parliament A.H.M. Fauzi, Parliamentarian Rishad Badiuddin and other prominent figures including former Governor Azad Sali and ALM Hisbullah. The young athletes of Crescent International College took centre stage, showcasing their talent, dedication and athletic prowess through various competitive and exhibition events. The vibrant display of sportsmanship and physical activity enthralled the audience, creating a festive atmosphere at the stadium.
And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Take care and good night.